Do you want to sing? Because we're going without music today.
Hello,
and welcome to the Valley today. We are live in the studio, though. As you're listening on the podcast, I will fix the music and actually put the music in.
Glory,
I don't know that I'm going to be able to take that out, but you can stop in it. You're supposed to get quieter as you go.
Well, I
That's
was waiting for you to hit the post. If you would have ended right, I could have ended the music, but your timing was off. So, hey, it's a crapshoot with this thing. That's all I'm going to say. I'm sitting here relaxed. I'm ready to go.
Yep, I hit the space bar twice. Nothing happened.
Hit the enter button.
Nothing happened.
Did you hit Alt Control Delete? How about the red button on the wall that says "Do not touch"? Let's hit that one and see what happens.
So clearly, we are live in the studio today for Public Safety Thursday with Captain Warren Gosnell from the Frederick County Sheriff's Office. So good. I have a witness that this was not operator error today. It is technology's error.
Unless it's not the space bar you're supposed to hit.
It's what I've always done.
Okay. Well,
So
I
how
don't know
are you?
about that. I'm fine. I'm good. I'm well.
Fresh off of National Night Out, how was that getting to meet all of the people that probably walked up to you and said, "You may not remember me, but."
There were a few people that walked up and called me by name and asked how I was doing, but no one that said, "Hey, you don't remember me." And I truly appreciate that. And some of the people who walked up asked how I was doing, I didn't remember them either. And that's not like in the sense of, oh, the little people. It's just there are so many now that see you different areas, maybe not along the shoulder of the road, but they'll see the public service announcements, or they see a Facebook post, or they listen to the radio show and stuff like that. And the thing I just ask them to remember is, I remember you, right? I remember meeting you, chatting with you, but there's no way I'm going to remember all the names.
Right.
And so
I used to. When I first started this show, I used to pride myself on the fact that I remembered who they were and when they were on the show and what they talked about. And now I'm like, you look familiar. And they're like, oh, I did your show. And I'm like, that's still not enough information.
Here's the important thing, the way I see it for my job. I need to remember certain code sections, and I definitely need to remember what those code sections say you can and can't do as far as law enforcement when a person does or doesn't do something. I have to look 3 times at their name as I'm going back and forth from the car to call them by the right name. But as long as I remember the important stuff, like, yes, right. This is a law. Yes, you did break this law. I think that's the important thing for me in this law enforcement experience. But right now, we had a good time. We had a good crowd. We actually had 3 locations. I only made it out to the one at Snowden Bridge, but we also were set up in Lake Frederick. And we were set up with Laurel Ridge at the college there between Stevens City and Middletown. And so from what I understand, good crowds everywhere, but we did have a good crowd at Snowden Bridge. The FBI was there, members of the SWAT team, the dive team.
What?
They had the little BB hut so people could step up with the BB guns. And I'm like, why is it just kids doing this? I got in line. I'm like, hey, I remember the Red Ryder. That I always wanted and never had.
Right. Well, that's because you would have shot your eye out.
No, that's because we couldn't afford it. And when I did borrow my friend's pellet gun, I ended up accidentally shooting my sister. So I didn't put an eye out, and I didn't put an eye out on her either. And here's the truth of the story, because if my sister goes back and listens to this later and tries to write in, call in, or anything else, the actual facts were I didn't shoot her. We had a big flat rock at the corner of our property that marked our property line. And my dad had this thing. When we would mow the lawn, if there were rocks that he didn't want me pushing the mower over, now obviously this one was too big, but what he would do is ones that were humped enough that he didn't want me pushing the mower over, he painted them this chrome silver paint. Well, what he had left, he painted that big rock as a property marker. Well, it's big and flat enough. My sister's sitting out on there doing whatever she was doing. I don't know. And I aimed at the rock. And I hit the rock, and it went ping, and you heard her go, ah! And I'm like, oh.
Very much like Ralphie, who hits the metal hood roof or whatever that was.
But she swears to this day I shot her, and it's like I did not. If I would have shot you,
There'd have been a visit to the hospital.
Well,
the important thing is, can she go through airport security without setting off the alarms?
Yeah. So it didn't even break the skin. Like, get out of here. It's like, come on now. And then they'll start telling you, because I had 2 sisters, they'll tell you that during the summers when we were left alone, if things got out of hand and and we weren't getting along real well. There was more than once where they were on the ground being fed grass by their big brother because it's like, you going to listen now? You going to listen now? And so that's the other story that they go to. No, I'm not a bully. I got into fights to protect my sisters.
I'm going to need some contact information.
No, you're not getting it. All right, so
I'll call my favorite sheriff because I'm sure if anybody can find that for me and give it to me, it will be my favorite sheriff.
You know what I'm going to give to you here in about 2 seconds, and that's the business. I'm going to give you the business. It's because there's a desk between us right now. I'm trying to tie these stories in about my sisters because that was back when we were in school. And so today's topic, Janet, it's time for back to school.
Yes, it is.
Look,
no more.
There are parents across the valley going, yes.
Yeah. And then there are those of us that are like, oh, those school buses are going to be in my way. Now I got to leave 10 minutes earlier. I got to do all the things.
Have to get back up earlier.
Uh-huh. And most of the teachers are already back at school because all of them, I think, in our area teachers went back in Winchester City this week. And next week, I think, is when school starts across a lot of our counties.
You know what I think is funny is a lot of people believe, well, teachers get the summer off. And I'm like, I remember even when I was in grade school, one of my favorite teachers of all time, and I was fortunate enough to have him twice, not because I failed.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah. He was our homeroom teacher, 4th grade, and then when we hit 6th grade, because we went elementary 1 through 6, they transferred him to then be our homeroom teacher for 6th grade. So I got him twice. But I remember he worked part-time and had a summer job because, back then and to hear him talk now, pay isn't what it possibly could be. And
it's nowhere near what it should be given their value and worth to educating our students. But it is not, from what I gather, close to what it needs to be in order for them to be able to feed their families in a good way.
And I guess part of that, without getting off onto a different topic,
is
that's
a whole other show for a whole other day.
Are there people out there that try to justify the fact that, well, a teacher's salary is X percent of, let's say, law enforcement salary because of those summer months, blah, blah. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying I can hear some people trying to argue that. And then my argument becomes then, what do you expect your teachers to do during summer break? It's not the easiest thing to go out here and just find a job that's willing to put you on, knowing that in a month and a half, 2 months, you're gone again, and pay you a decent wage. So, yeah. But I remember that when, and I forget where it was he was working, but it was the summer. Just walked in and I'm like, Mr. Whittington, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I'm working here. And I'm like, what?
What?
You quit? I'm 12 years old. Come on, give me a break. But yeah, we're getting ready for back to school now for the rest of us. And so I figured today we should have the talk. And by that, I mean, we're going to talk about school buses. We're going to talk about school zones. We're going to talk about school parking lots. A lot of people don't seem to realize the restrictions that are on them when they're on a public school parking lot. You want to act the fool in your car, your truck, your van on a school parking lot? That's treated the same way as you acting the fool on the highway.
Really?
Yeah, it's government property. Government property open to the public is treated as the highway. If you're in a crash on a school parking lot and it's otherwise reportable like it would be on the highway, it's reportable. If you can be ticketed for something on the highway, you can be ticketed for it on a school parking lot. And this...
Is that new?
No.
Well, then I got away with a lot at James Wood back in the 80s.
Well, and one of the things is I have parents always asking, advice. They want to take their new driver out, and not just, to log the hours.
We've had this conversation. Yeah. Donuts and trying to, what do you call it? The safe driving, the
defensive driving.
They
want to teach them how to recover from a skid. But even if you go away from that and all you want to do is work on parallel parking, or you've got a clutch, and so you want to teach them how to properly accelerate and brake and work the clutch without grinding the gears, even if you're trying and you're being responsible, you're not out there teaching those other erratic maneuvers, if something were to happen, your child would be treated the same as they would on the road. And if they don't even have their learner's permit yet,
That's a whole nother can of worms.
Then they're operating without a proper license or endorsement. And people look at you and go, well, man, you have to be so hard about it. And I'm like, look, I'm not telling you don't go do it. You're asking my advice, and you're asking my advice in a professional environment. My professional advice is you need to know the facts, that if this and this and this happens, this could be a result. I'm not saying I'm going to be the one there going, yeah, you shouldn't be doing this. Here, nothing happened. I just drove by and saw this kid looks young and write you a ticket. But if I showed up and you hit one of the parked school buses and caused damage, I can't just say, well, things happen.
Mm-hmm. And again, we've said this many, many times over the years. You don't make these rules. You don't make these laws. Your job is to enforce them. So if somebody has issues with how that is, that's up to them and how they vote and their legislators.
Yeah, but and then, Janet, I think part of that also comes down to, we would argue, discretion. Because you have officers, deputies, and troopers who exercise discretion, who have a common sense. I'll use that term, but that's not really what I'm looking for here. They have a higher level of compassion, if you want to use that term, and so they may exercise their discretion and say, "Look, you're not allowed to do this, and I really should be writing this, but here's what I'm going to do because it's within my authority." So just because the law says, is it an automatic that I'm forced to take certain action? There are certain laws, though.
That you are not
holding your cell phone. Folks, we have no control over the fact that if you are a first offender for holding your phone while operating your vehicle, I'm not saying you're talking on it, texting on it, singing into it, taking selfies. You simply are holding the phone, which is now the violation in Virginia. We have absolutely no say over the fact that that's a $125 mandatory fine. Second offense, or you're doing it while you're being reckless, it's a $250 fine. Those are the kind of things that we don't have a say over, but I can't turn around and be like, okay, even though the fine is high and you're crossing the center line, holding your phone, paying attention to your phone and not the road, I'm not going to write you because they made the fine too high. No, there has to be a deterrent. So, yeah, the discretion kicks in a little bit, but they do need to be aware there could be other people involved. You hit someone else's property and they're like, hey, they're not allowed to do this. And it's like, you can be like, yeah, but look, he's only 15 getting ready to get his learner's permit. Who's right, who's wrong there? And that's where, it's pretty much, look, I'm going to take action. Make sure you do this, this, and this before the court date. Let's get in front of the judge. We'll hold the person responsible accountable. Your insurance kicks in, takes care of things. In crashes, that's one of the main reasons that people who are found at fault in a crash are being charged. They think it's because cops have a quota. Cops are a hard case. No, it's because a lot of times, especially Virginia being a 1% state, which means if insurance has 1% of doubt that their covered subject is responsible, they don't have to cover your damage. And so issuing a summons in that instance kind of helps push that along and motivates. There are times where those people actually come to court later. We find out the other person was taken care of by insurance, and charges can be amended or even dropped. Because without it, it's one of those loopholes, because insurance companies aren't there to protect you, folks. They're in business to make money.
They are for-profit companies. Speaking of for-profit, if we don't go to break, Andrew's going to fire me. So we'll come back and talk about school zones, traffic cameras, watching out for the school buses, all of that when we come back?
Yep.
Okay, we're in the studio live today with Captain Warren Gosnell from the Frederick County Sheriff's Office. It is Public Safety Thursday, and it is all about the schools. Hang in there just a couple of more minutes. In just one day, you can help shape a stronger, more connected community. On September 19th, United Way of Northern Shenandoah Valley will lead Day of Caring, the region's largest single-day volunteer event. Over 900 volunteers will roll up their sleeves to help local nonprofits with projects that matter. Painting classrooms, repairing shelters, planting gardens, organizing food pantries. Whether you're a business looking to sponsor, a nonprofit in need of an extra set of hands, or a neighbor ready to serve, there's a place for you on Day of Caring. This is what community looks like when we come together. This is care in action. Learn how to get involved at unitedwaynsv.org/Day of Caring or email dayofcaring@unitedwaynsv.org. One day, hundreds of hands, lasting impact. Join us. Welcome back to the Valley today.
Well, now all of a sudden it works.
It was my left hand.
Is that what it
Apparently
is?
the left hand hitting the space bar. The right hand isn't effective hitting the space bar to get the music to start.
The right hand's wrong and the left hand's right. Okay.
We are still live in the studio today for Public Safety Thursday. Captain Warren Gosnell is joining me as he always does the first Thursday of every month. He is, of course, with the Frederick County Sheriff's Office, where my favorite sheriff is probably listening and giggling right now or looking at the selfie that I took of him a few weeks ago when we ran into each other on the Our Health campus. Did he send that to you? Because he said, come here, let me get a selfie so I can send it to our friend.
No.
I assumed you were that friend.
I don't know that I'm either one of yours, friend. But, hey, I don't know if he's listening right now. It's Miss Barbara's birthday weekend.
Then I hope he's not listening.
So, but he may be online listening. Or he's going to listen later. So either way, you're gonna get your in. So yeah, I'm going to get back to what he pays me to do.
Oh yeah, we're talking about school stuff, right?
Yeah, and the traffic safety aspect of schools getting ready to fire back up. So let's take it in order. What are the best chances of you as a motorist have to encounter something school related? And I would say that's probably the buses first, because the buses roam all around. And so when school first starts, you may be unaware that a bus route has now popped up and people go, well, this bus has never come through here. Why? Well, because there didn't used to be children who needed to get on the bus that now live in this neighborhood, or they've become old enough to now go to school. Bus routes change every year. So just because, the bus never comes through here, I'm good to go. And then those first few days, you keep getting stuck behind it.
Unless you're living at Lake Frederick, because that's usually senior living there. That's where I'm going to move to.
Well, they have grandkids, right? I mean,
man, you just can't get away from these little mongrels.
Well, that's also a gated community. So have them walk to the gate uphill in the snow. Bus boys. So, yeah, your best chances, first of all, will be encountering a school bus, possibly. And so some things to remember in Virginia. Red lights mean stop. If the red lights are on, do not pass the bus. And when I say do not pass it, it doesn't mean just going parallel beside it. If you are in front of the bus and you're turning away from the bus, stop and stay stopped. Well, I'm not passing the bus. It doesn't matter. Virginia law says any vehicle approaching a stopped school bus from any direction, doesn't say passing it, says approaching it. So if you're approaching it, but even though you're going to turn in front of it while it's still stopped, you're required to stop and remain so until the bus goes back into motion. And the reason for this, folks, is because kids are unpredictable. Sometimes they're unpredictable because it's like, hey, I just wanted you to know I'm pregnant. What? That's a different unpredictable. But for the school bus, little Johnny running behind, coming out the door, sees the bus is loading up, and he just shoots straight across the yard and is going to go diagonal across the road. He's not worried about crosswalks or anything like that. He doesn't want to miss the bus because today is show and tell, and he's got something that he wants to present to the class, and he's going to make that bus. And so here you are, you're looking to the right where the bus is, and it's stopped, but you're going to turn left, and you're like, okay, I'm not going near any closer to the bus. And so you go to turn left, and here comes little Johnny and cross in front of you trying to get to that bus. That's part of the reason. And so we just preach it as just stop.
Right.
If you have any doubt,
if you see a bus that is stopped, just stop.
And if you're like, well, I don't want to get stuck behind it, well, then tomorrow, leave a little earlier because the buses pretty much run around the same times. So once you see that bus once, twice, especially 3 times, and you're like, damn, that bus is here every day. It's like, yeah, it is.
Hey, our dogs know when school starts that when that bus rolls past our house, that it's time for breakfast.
Well, and there you go.
So anybody can figure out how those bus routes work.
They run a pretty good schedule. So once you figure that out, and that's part of what I was saying, you've spent the summer now and it may have been an old bus route that you knew, and that bus route has changed, so that's changed the timing a little bit. And so once you get that down, you'll know, do I want to wait a little while longer to leave so it's well gone, or do I want to leave a little earlier so I'm out in front? But the bottom line is, if you don't make it, don't pass it.
Right.
If the red lights are on and you're approaching anywhere near that bus, you're required to stop and stay in that position. You do not have to be identified. These people that say, well, I wasn't driving. Well, that really doesn't matter if the bus driver or even a parent gets your tag and your tag matches the description of the vehicle that tag comes back to. There can be a civil penalty issued to the registered owner. Registered owner can come forward and say, well, I wasn't driving that day, and that's fine. Be ready to tell us who was.
Right.
So it's not a matter of, well, there's no way they could see me. I got dark tinted windows. They don't know. No, if they can't identify the driver or the driver isn't stopped by police right then and there, then there is a civil process. But otherwise, if you are caught doing it, we can identify you or we witness it and we pull you over. It's a reckless driving charge.
Do the buses have cameras on them? I know they do in larger cities.
Well,
because I watch FBI and I see how they track people.
For school safety purposes and such, we won't talk about what the buses may or may not have on them and which buses may or may not have them. Why don't we all just assume that they do? And you don't want to get caught, do you? So there, just don't pass the school bus. You won't have to worry whether it has a camera or not. Which leads us into topic number 2, school zones. Mm-hmm. Now, school zones have been dormant all summer long. Now, I'm going to tell you, sometimes the lights come on when they're not supposed to.
Right.
Because it's happened a couple times this summer for me. And I call it in each time. But the other day, we had most of them in Frederick County on because they were being checked. And so there are times where, all right, there's no school in session, the lights aren't flashing. If that's the case, even if something goes wrong, it can be figured out and settled in the long run. So don't lose your mind about it. Right. But once school starts and you know that between 8 and 8:45, Monday through Friday, unless there's a holiday, that this elementary school zone has the flashing lights, then you need to make yourself aware of that and be paying attention to it. Speeding is speeding. And I say this because the myth of, well, as long as I don't go X amount over, I'm safe.
I have a 5-mile-an-hour cushion. That's not the case. Always.
Well, and that's the thing. There is no given when it comes to that. I think a lot of officers and deputies and troopers do have that cushion to try to eliminate possible error.
It falls into that discretion area that you were talking about earlier.
Correct.
Depending on the entire situation, not just the speed alone.
And a lot of people believe the magic number is 10. As long as I'm not 10 over,
oh no,
they're going to leave me alone.
That's way too much for me. I'm not that brave.
It's way too much in a residential zone and in a school zone, I can tell you that. And so this is a two-pronged discussion when it comes to school zones. One is the school zone that's being monitored by the human factor, whether it's the school resource officer or a traffic unit or another law enforcement officer running LIDAR or radar. If it's a 25 school zone, and you're 29 miles an hour, they absolutely can pull you over for it. Now, I'm not here to say whether they should or shouldn't, but I'm saying they can. And so you don't want to argue. You don't want to be like, well, I wasn't even going that fast. The bottom line is, were you doing the speed limit? And if you weren't, it can be a problem. Now, when we get into school zone cameras, because I know Warren County has some, City of Winchester has some, and Frederick County this year, knocking on wood, will have some in some of the school zones, but not when school first starts. Right now, we're in the permit process with VDOT. When we go to put up the 3 sets of school zone cameras that we will have, there will be a 30-day warning period. We are going to do a social media. We're going to do radio.
I'm sure we're going to talk about them here.
Yeah, it's going to be put out there that, hey, these are up, they're running. Here's the deal. But anybody that's in violation during those first 30 days gets a warning. And if you get multiple warnings, you get multiple warnings. It's for the full 30 days. So if you got 3 warnings, the next one's not necessarily a ticket. But I think it is time for you to make better choices.
Reassess your priorities.
Yeah. So in Frederick County, it's 10 miles an hour. If you are not 10 miles an hour or more over the school zone speed limit, those cameras will not activate. If you're 9, 8, 7 over, the camera isn't going to even take your picture. It's not going to know you're there. It's not running tags. It's not a license plate reader. Big Brother is not watching you, okay? Big Brother is sitting there waiting, and if Big Brother's LiDAR says, hey, this guy's 15 over, yep, he's going to open his eyes, he's going to take a photo of your tag, and then we're going to get it. And so it's a double-edged sword for me to sit here and say, hey, you can do 9 over. I'm not telling you to do 9 over, but I'm also telling you that if law enforcement, if local governments, if the school board, whoever you want to blame it on, if anybody was truly looking for money, to make money out of this, and it wasn't about safety, then they would just set that at 2, 3, 4 miles an hour.
Or 1.
Yeah.
Because a mile over is a mile over. If they're looking for that money grab, then why would they give you any leeway at all?
And so, that 10, that is a magic number in this instance. You're at 35 in a 25 school zone, you're getting a violation. It's a civil penalty. It's a $100 civil penalty. It's not a fine because it's not going on your driving record. You're not getting points on your license. There's no court cost or fees on top of it. If you were to be stopped for that same speed by a law enforcement officer and charged for speeding, it would be $7 for every mile an hour over, so that's a $70 fine. And you're like, oh, well, that's less than $100. It is. Now,
but wait,
let's add in the $52 court cost and fees. Then there's the processing fee. Oh, wait, you're going to get points on your license, so your insurance company might be giving a call. So by the time it's all said and done, you're looking at, for 10 over, you're looking at probably $150 to $160, plus the points on the license and everything else. So I'm not trying to sell the fact of we're putting an automated system and we don't need human bodies out there. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we have taken into account that along with losing that interaction right then, right there, someone saying, hey, you were just in this zone. Several days later, you're getting this notice and you're trying to think, was I? Did I speed through there, or you're adamant that you weren't? That
actually happened to me. I've not gotten one in the mail, but I've come through and then had a conversation with somebody that the speed cameras in front of James Wood on Amherst Street. I'm like, wait, did I go through there? Was I doing the 25?
Well, and see,
apparently I was, because I didn't get anything in the mail.
So you've got the cushion. Number one, if you're not really blasting through there, you're going to be fine anyway. Number two, those penalties are not just issued by the third-party vendor. They come to the law enforcement agency. Everything is checked and validated. Number one, was school open that day?
Right.
Number two, was this during the school zone hours? Number three, were the lights flashing? Now, with our system, it can't issue anything back to the company if the lights aren't on.
They're connected.
The lights are what's telling the LiDAR, hey, wake up, So, but still, that'll be verified. And does the tag in the vehicle match? And if so, then a real human law enforcement officer says, yep, this is a valid violation. And that's when the third-party vendor will then send out the civil penalty notice. So there are things in place, and you can still argue and say, well, I still don't like it. You know why you still don't like it? Because you don't have the opportunity to spot the cop up ahead and take your foot off the gas instead of just taking your foot off the gas anyway.
Much like you said earlier with cameras on school buses, just assume every school zone has a camera beginning today.
And you don't get to drive by the guy that just got busted going, thanks, buddy, you saved me. Because now both of you are getting the violation in the mail. So.
I've never done that either, but okay.
So that's all. I mean, just get ready for it.
Can we just remind everybody as we're wrapping up, this is for our children's lives. I joke about not having kids and kids being, just not something I'm interested in anymore. But this is for them to safely arrive and return home from school every day.
And it's not just about whether the school is right there, because we have several of our schools that are well off the road. Those school zones help the buses get in and out, help parents who are dropping off or picking up get in and out. If you're at a high school, it helps new drivers get in and out more safely, time, distance, closing distance, braking distance. There's more that goes into this than just the money aspect. And it's not about, well, the school isn't even right there at the road. There are still safety issues involved. And we're not going to wait and say, well, if we would have done this, then this person or these people wouldn't have been injured or wouldn't have died. We're going to go ahead and make it so that you're going to slow down or,
you're going to pay. Hindsight is not something you want to use in these situations.
No, ma'am.
Good luck out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my first day of school picture taken this year, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're undercover because I followed you into Front Royal and didn't even know it was you until you pulled in the parking lot. And let it be known that I stayed in my lane.
Good thing.
I'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode of The Valley Today at 2 minutes after noon. You can hear that.